How are we doing, guys, and welcome to my new channel, Xaviesta TV. So what is Xaviesta TV going to be all about? We're going to cover two things on this channel: Barcelona and Spanish football in general. And I might add a third thing, actually, anything you want me to cover in regards to Spanish football. It's been a long-term passion of mine, Spanish football, outside of Leeds United, of course, and I thought, why not start a channel? I've got a bit of time on my hands. Barcelona's about to start a brand new era with Xavi Hernandez taking charge, an absolute legend of a man, Xavi Hernandez. Yes, so we are going to cover it, and that's why I thought to start the channel, really, to be honest, guys. So let's start with the very first thing, because it might be a new era for Barcelona, but it is same old for pretty much the last 3 years, and today was no different. This is a match review of Celta Vigo 3, Barcelona 3. Yeah. Barcelona 3-0 up at half-time, draw 3-3. It's another collapse, another capitulation, whatever word you want to put for it. This is what Barcelona have become now. In the last 3-4 years, this has been a common, recurring theme. This season alone, it's happened 3 or 4 times, either been absolutely battered from minute 1 to 90, or had a lead and absolutely just throwing it away, conceding really silly goals, and just being outplayed by teams who really Barcelona should not be being outplayed by, in all honesty. And there was nothing different today. I'll start with the positives, because Barcelona did go 3-0 up in this game. Ansu Fati does what Ansu Fati does. Absolutely fantastic goal to open the scoring on 5 minutes, although Iago Aspas did miss a big chance at the other end, which could have quite easily put Celta Vigo 1-0 up within that first 5 minutes. Ansu Fati goes up the other end and just scores a goal that, well, he's the only player in the squad who could score a goal like that at this moment in time. He's an absolute wonder kid. It's potential. You're gonna hear me talk about Ansu Fati a lot on this channel, I'll tell you that much, because there is nothing he can't do on a football pitch. And I just hope injuries are just not going to cost him hitting that top potential, because it's just incredible in terms of what he can do on a football pitch. Already the goals he's scored, already how pivotal a figure he is in that Barcelona team. He's Barcelona's best player. I don't think there's any controversy about that, and I think he's going to be the big player who Xavi's going to have to build this new era around, because he is the player who can just produce those moments of magic. Look, I know obviously we've seen these comparisons: Ronaldinho to Messi, Messi to Fati question mark. Again, big pressure on Ansu Fati, but there's no ceiling to his talent for me, and you're going to hear me talk about him a lot. Then Sergio Busquets pops up with probably his only goal this season. Absolute wonder goal. His ball striking has always been fairly underrated for me. I mean, what an outstanding player Busquets has been. But maybe in the last couple of weeks, performances-wise, they have dipped a little bit from Sergio Busquets, but he still has those real moments of quality, and he produces that from distance to put Barcelona 2-0 up in the game. Memphis Depay then nods one in to make it 3-0. Lovely cross off Jordi Alba. And then you just think at that point, wow, these players have really reacted to the Xavi appointment. He's not even turned up yet, and they're putting in a performance like that in the first half. 3-0 up. Although, let's be honest, the scoreline did flatter Barcelona. It was pretty much every attack in that first half. It just went in, and that's kind of the way it works in that first half. Second half, obviously Ansu Fati comes off, hamstring injury. Let's hope it's not too serious. Eric Garcia comes off as well. I thought he was having a really good game at centre-back. And yeah, Ronald Araujo comes on. Again, I like Araujo. I really do like him. But today was not his day. I think he was rushed back, in all honesty. I think the Garcia, obviously coming off injured, did enforce that change. But unfortunately, I don't think Araujo was quite ready to come on in the game. But yeah, look, he's a very promising player, but it didn't really happen for him today. I mean, hence the fact that he came on at 3-0 up and it finishes 3-3. That pretty much tells its own story. Yeah, so Aspas gets the goal, first goal back. It's another poor mistake of Marc-Andre ter Stegen, ultimately. Again, for me, he's got away with a lot of criticism, to be fair, for me, ter Stegen. Mistake after mistake. How many mistakes is ter Stegen going to make, really, for Barcelona now? It's week in, week out. It's almost becoming now for ter Stegen. He's been a fantastic player for the club. Absolutely no doubt about it. He has been a great player for the club, but really, since that 8-2 against Bayern Munich, he's not been the same goalkeeper. I think confidence-wise, it's massively affected him. I think confidence for a goalkeeper is absolutely massive. It goes without saying, really. And Ter Stegen now, it's been 18 months of poor form. I think last season, in reality, look, I don't think anyone was a particularly big fan of Ronald Koeman as a manager for Barcelona. But it's fair to say Ter Stegen did make mistakes that cost Barcelona the title ultimately. And Barcelona could have quite easily won the title had Ter Stegen made half the amount of mistakes he made last season. And this season, it's not been much better. Yes, of course, technically, he's superb in terms of with the ball at his feet, and he still can produce a wonder save. But unfortunately, there's been a big decline in Ter Stegen. He's almost become now, a player that's almost a liability for the club. And there's a lot of players really who have been great players for the club, but are liabilities now ultimately. So that's the first goal back, and then the other two goals are just really, really sloppy bits of defending. Clement Longley, again, not particularly convincing on either goal. Has started to get a run of games, but unfortunately, another player for me who, since that Bayern Munich 8-2, hasn't looked the same player. And I think ultimately there's a lot of players in that squad now. Look, this is a match review of the Celta Vigo game, but I think that really has shown today. Forget the fact they've only drawn. They've had worse results than this season. But it just showed that there's players in that squad who just haven't recovered from the really bad defeats of Barcelona, in the Champions League and the Liga. And unfortunately, just haven't shown that resilience since it. And I just think Barcelona as a club needs to be ruthless now, whether that's in January or the summer. There's a lot of players at that club who they can do jobs elsewhere, and I think they just need a fresh start for themselves more than anything. But they're just not at that level now for me to really have an impact on this Barcelona team. And a lot of them are at ages now, sort of late 20s, coming into their early 30s. Sergio Roberto is another one. I think now the Barcelona have got to be ruthless. I know they were trying to get rid of a lot of players in the summer, and it was ultimately always going to be unrealistic getting rid of all those players. But yeah, there's players that need moving on. I think Xavi. I think the big thing with Xavi is that obviously you've seen Pep come in 13 years ago and completely transform the club, and not really have to do that much in the transfer market. It's certainly on the starting 11. But ultimately, this time around, I think it's unrealistic expecting that from Xavi. The makeup of the team is totally different. There's a big gap between a lot of young, promising players in the team, under 21, under 22, and then there's a lot of players over the age of 28. So there's a big gap. There's not a lot of players in that Barcelona team at this moment in time in their prime. Probably the only one who's, again, but not really showing it in terms of performances, is probably Memphis Depay, who's probably at a prime age where you can get prime productivity from him. I know obviously his goal and assists record this season for Lyon, Holland and Barcelona has been absolutely fantastic, but he's not shown it enough in the Barcelona shirt. Although he gets himself a good goal today, he has put on a decent run of form, and I think he's a very promising player. But yeah, he's the only player really who's at that age really who's going to really show prime form at this moment in time. So the makeup of the squad is very different. You can't expect Xavi to turn everything around at this club. I think the main thing is getting the top four. As negative as that sounds, the main thing is getting that top four now. But yeah, the goals are sloppy. Just poor mistakes. You've seen it week in, week out now for pretty much 3 years since that Liverpool 4-0. There's not just Liverpool 4-0, the Bayern Munich 8-2, PSG 4-1, Bayern Munich a couple of weeks ago 3-0. This team's got to go to Bayern Munich in a couple of weeks' time, and you can't expect Xavi to just change everything at this club. A lot's got to change in terms of Laporta. I think, Laporta's a fantastic operator. I think there's still ultimately, he's the best man for the job in terms of the presidency at the club. I 100% believe that. That's not to say he hasn't made mistakes, since obviously taking over, but the club's in a better direction. But still, it's at that awkward stage where there's going to have to be a lot of pain, embarrassment, unfortunately, just because of the nature of the squad that's being made up. I mean, look at today. Look at most of the season. We're playing a 4-3-3. Barcelona haven't been able to select a right winger for most of the season. They've had Gavi playing there, Dest playing there, Pedri, I think, played a couple of games there a few weeks ago. It's not great. It's not great at all. It's a basic. We're talking about the starting 11 here, not even talking about the depth. I've already said about the depth of the squad. Your Longleys, your Robertos, they're not really giving performances when they are, selected in the team. So, yeah, they've got to look at that, Barcelona, for me, and they will look at that. But ultimately, there's going to be a lot of pain. Don't expect things to improve straight away from Xavi, but yeah, you can't have so many players who've been involved in so many heavy defeats and not showing that resilience, and it's just going to continue. It's just going to continue until the club moves certain players on and they're no longer relying on players who just continuously in all honesty, let the club down in terms of performances. But yeah, not to say they haven't been good players for the club. But yeah, it's a tough job. It's a tough job, this, for Xavi. I think Barjuan's showing that. There's not a lot on the bench as well, really. Only really Ricky Puig, who came on today, you really felt could change the game. Although, having said that, when Nico Gonzalez came off, that was a bad change. Again, whether it was injury enforced or not, I don't know. But that was a bad change. The whole game opened up. I thought him and Busquets were doing a good job in that midfield, and then just the whole midfield opened up. It was left to Busquets in a single pivot, much like he played under Ronald Koeman. Again, we need to see the Luis Enrique Spain national team version of Sergio Busquets, where you get the pressing, the right midfield balance around him, and he does an absolutely superb job. He's one of the best. He's still one of the best midfielders in the world for me, Busquets, when he's playing in the right system, and that's something I think Xavi will improve. There's a lot of things Xavi can improve, but you can't expect him to improve everything until Barcelona sort themselves out as a club, in terms of get the finances in order, get the balance of the squad right. There's so much to sort out before you even start looking at results and what Xavi can do as a whole. And yeah, just sort the depth out. Bring in a right winger. Ousmane Dembele, I think, is a fantastic talent. I will continue to say that. I will continue to be an Ousmane Dembele fan. But ultimately, you've got to accept at this stage, Ousmane Dembele, doesn't look like you're going to get a full season out of him. Doesn't look like you get half a season out of Ousmane Dembele at this moment in time. So there's got to be something there that happens on the right-hand side of the pitch. Depay and Fati, I think, are building a good chemistry, but they're both, at the best, operating from that left side, really, going from out to in, off the left. They're not really players who play on that right. So the team's unbalanced, and that's ultimately what you saw today with the performance, really. The club is still suffering from Bartomeu's reign, from the recruitment under Valverde, in terms of bringing in Coutinho for big money, bringing in Griezmann for big money, making all these poor choices, not buying poor players, but poor choices for the balance of the squad. The team needs outlets, the team needs runners in behind, the team needs natural width. The team looks so much better when Fati's on the pitch, and that should tell its own story. They need outlets. There's enough technical quality in the team. Look at the midfield Xavi's got to choose from. The potential there, the quality. Although, having said that, today, against Celta Vigo dominate possession, 18 shots to 10. Celta Vigo controlled the game. Celta Vigo probably deserved to win the game if you go on the balance of the whole 90, because that second half was an embarrassment. And yeah, Barcelona need to learn how to control games again. They need to identify early on, Xavi, who is going to suit this team, who isn't going to suit this team, and there's a lot of players who need to step up now. And you know what? I'm going to include Frenkie de Jong in that now. I think I'm a massive Frenkie de Jong fan. I think he's got the potential to be the very best in the world in terms of interiors, and I think under Xavi, the potential is there for him to be that. But performance-wise, been nowhere near at it this season. Being a lot more like the Frenkie de Jong under Ernesto Valverde, really, in all honesty, that's looked a little lost in the system again. But I think individually, performances have got to pick up with certain players in that team. Probably most of the team, in all honesty, in terms of the way things are going. Right back, you're looking at, obviously, Oscar Mingueza. Again, promising player. But obviously, when Dest isn't available, there's no other natural right back there. Depth, recruitment has got to be spot on now. Xavi's got a tough job in his hands, but Barcelona have got to sort things out. It's a step in the right direction, but don't expect a Pep-like impact straight away. Xavi needs backing, and that's the main thing at the club. And if that game didn't tell you more than any other game, there's certain players where Barcelona just got to be ruthless now and just accept they're not good enough for this football club and they need moving on. I've named a lot of them, and ultimately it's a lot of those players that were involved in that Liverpool 4-0 game. Barring obviously Piqué, Busquets, I still think Alba, Dembele can do something in the team. Anyone else, I think really now, ultimately are not good enough to start for Barcelona as a football club for me now, to bring Barcelona forward. And what hurts the most is the fact that you've seen both Madrid teams, neither of them are particularly good. And this isn't me even being, salty or whatever you want to say and being. They're not great at this moment in time, but they're an absolute country mile ahead of Barcelona at this moment in time. And that really hurts, that the fact they're not even particularly good and they're so far ahead of Barcelona. They can't even think about competing with those two for the title now, for me, because the team's just not good enough, ultimately. It's not just a squad. Starting 11's not good enough. A lot needs to change at this club. And I think Xavi's the right man. It just gives the fans hope again, I think, having Xavi in charge. Someone that they can really relate to. And yeah, I will talk a bit more about the Xavi appointment. And I can't do Xavi justice in a video like this when you've been 3-0 up and then obviously drawn 3-3. But guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. There is going to be plenty of content coming out on this channel about Spanish football and, of course, Barcelona. And yeah, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. I will probably try and put a studio together in the international break. This has been a very last-minute arrangement, but hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Check out my other main channel as well, guys, All Leeds TV, for Premier League and Leeds United content. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching. Smash that like button, and we'll see you later.